When you think of the word bog or peatland, you might think of the colour brown, a source of fuel like briquettes or turf sods, the smell of a turf fire, or a childhood tradition of footing turf. Peatlands are often thought of as a treacherous, barren wasteland, wet, sodden, harsh, exposed, windy, treeless, with an association of rural, impoverished communities. The rich folklore surrounding peatlands has captured our imaginations, with the dangerous and mysterious characteristics of bogs, the will-o'-the-wisps, the banshee trees, the carnivorous plants, and the quaking bogs, where someone can disappear in an instant. The things that were lost in the bog, where archaeology and history remain in a state of suspended animation. Peat itself is comprised of the remains of animal and plant matter that is retained in anoxic or low oxygen waterlogged conditions, which slows the decomposition process and allows for the associated buildup of organic material. Peat formation typically accumulates at an average rate of 1 millimetre per year. Peatlands are often simplified into a basic stratification of an active or aerobic layer, the acrothelm, which contains the living plant material and overlays the layer of dead plant matter, the catothelm, which is anaerobic. The boundary between these two layers is considered the lowest level of the water table, which fluctuates throughout the year. Peatlands are broadly categorised into fens, raised bogs and blanket bogs, which in a healthy, intact state provide numerous ecosystem services, such as carbon sequestration, water filtration, biodiversity, and of course the cultural and archaeological importance. Peatland habitats are characterised by a unique floral composition that allows for the formation of peat. This process is intrinsically linked to a genus of colourful bryophytes known as bog mosses or sphagnum mosses. These species are specially adapted to live in cold, waterlogged, acidic, anoxic environments, and they even perpetuate these conditions. Sphagnums are naturally resistant to decay and have antiseptic properties. Their ability to retain water makes them ecosystem engineers. Some examples of the best bog-building sphagnums include Sphagnum papillosum, Sphagnum capillifolium, and Sphagnum magellanicum. Lichens are also common on peatlands. A lichen is a mutualistic relationship between a fungus and a microalgae or cyanobacteria. The fungus provides the structure and the protective environment, while the microalgae or bacteria provides the nutrients for both through the process of photosynthesis. Some examples of common peatland lichens include the reindeer lichen and the devil's matchsticks. A range of colourful and unique vascular plants also occur within peatlands. These include the shrub-like woody species such as the heathers, ling heather, Calluna vulgaris, and the bell heathers, the erica species, bilberry, Vaccinium myrtillus, cranberry, Vaccinium oxycoccus, and bog myrtle, Myrica gale. These species often have colourful flowers which are attractive to pollinators, and some produce fruits and berries which are a vital food source within these habitats. Peatland graminoids, grasses, sedges and rushes, include the heath rush, Juncus squarosus, and purple moorgrass, Molinia cerulea, a tall tussock-forming species whose flowers create a misty purple haze when viewed from the distance, deergrass, Trichophrum germanicum, and bog cotton, the Eriophorum species, a well-known peatland family of sedges identified by their soft, fluffy, cotton-like seed heads. Bog asphodel, Narthecium ossifragum, and milkwort, the polygala species, are examples of colourful herbaceous peatland plants. A unique collection of rare carnivorous plant species thrive in these low-nutrient environments. These include genera such as the sundew, the Drosera species, and the butterwort, the Pinguicula species. These plants are adapted to survive by capturing small insects which they can digest and use to obtain nitrogen. Charles Darwin confirmed the carnivorous properties of sundew, and in a letter which he wrote at the time said, "At the present moment I care more about Drosera than the origin of all species in the world." Accompanying the unique variation of peatland flora is an equally varied faunal composition. In these often remote areas, birds such as curlew, snipe, hen harrier, skylark, meadow pipit and red grouse thrive, nesting in the tall heathers and foraging on the bounty of berries and invertebrates found throughout. Many of these bird species are considered rare and endangered, with peatlands often providing the last wilderness strongholds for such birds. Mammals, including badger, deer, foxes and hare, forage and burrow across these exposed landscapes. Peatlands support an incredible diversity of invertebrates, including dragonflies and damselflies, pollinators, moths, spiders and beetles. Reptiles and amphibians are similarly found in our peatlands, as smooth newt, frogs and the common lizard. So now that you can see the bounty of colourful and rare wildlife that depends upon the preservation of our peatland ecosystems, hopefully your perspective of these wild areas has changed. They are no longer barren wastelands, but are instead beautiful wildernesses teeming with life that provide essential ecosystem services to our planet. Unfortunately, many of our peatlands are disappearing at an alarming rate through drainage, turf cutting, agricultural intensification and land use change. It is vital that we must prevent the further degradation of these unique habitats and instead focus on restoration and conservation in order to preserve our peatlands.